Here with the details from today's interview is House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer. Get your reaction to John's report and what happened with this aide today.
Well, first of all, Solomon continues to do great work. He's the best investigative reporter out there. With respect to what those memos stated, that totally contradicts earlier testimony that we've received in some of these depositions and transcribed interviews by Biden's inner circle. So their story doesn't add up. What the memos and emails that John Solomon just reported on your show, what they said versus what some of these people are coming in and saying under oath to us, totally different story. And we'll have more on that. We're going to bring in more. We have about 2 or 3 more people in that inner circle we wanted to depose. Remember, a big percentage of them pled the Fifth Amendment to avoid self-incrimination. But we've gotten enough, Sean, to know that these stories aren't adding up. But one thing that is consistent with all the memos and with all the emails that we're receiving from the National Archives, as well as the testimony from the Biden inner circle, is the fact that no one in the White House saw Joe Biden very often, especially during the last 6 months of his presidency. We had Andrew Bates in today. And one of the things that Andrew Bates said that is consistent with everyone else is even though he was one of Joe Biden's top deputies, he would only see Joe Biden once a month. And that included seeing him in the hall or seeing him from a distance. As far as up close face-to-face interaction, it was very seldom. Maybe even, a couple of times a year. That's consistent with what Ian Sams told us in our last transcribed interview. He said that he only saw Joe Biden 2 times in 2 years, even though he was the spokesperson that would come out. And Sean, you probably read, dozens and dozens of sound bites from Ian Sams where he implied he had just saw Joe Biden and Joe Biden was at the top of his game. These people in the Biden White House covered for Joe Biden's cognitive decline. And I think with what we're seeing coming out with the emails and memos from the Merrick Garland Department of Justice that Solomon reported, I think that these pardons and executive orders, especially in the last few months of the Biden presidency, I think they're in legal jeopardy.
Okay, so are you convinced now that Joe Biden did, in fact, not approve every commutation, every pardon himself? When you look at the new information as reported by John, will you call in Kamala Harris? Will you call in family members? And by the way, if they received a pardon, they would not have the ability to plead the Fifth, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the chances of Kamala Harris being asked to come in and testify increased significantly with this newest memo that John Solomon just talked about moments ago. So, look, Vice President Harris did not have the authority to approve the pardons. Joe Biden has done one interview post-presidency, and that was with the New York Times. And he admitted that he delegated the pardon authority. That is not how pardons work. Only the President of the United States has the ability to pardon someone. That's the law. And I think with what Joe Biden did when he self-incriminated himself with respect to his pardon process with the New York Times, with this new memo, with the depositions and transcribed interviews that we've already received from Biden's inner circle, I don't see how these pardons can stand up in a court of law. And I'm pretty certain that President Trump would agree that this isn't how the pardon process works. And there's no evidence that's emerged that Joe Biden himself knew and approved all those individual pardons.
This is going to be very interesting to watch. Chairman Comer, we appreciate your time as always. Keep up the good work. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.